Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Live from Orchestra Hall. My name is Alex Trajano and thank you for joining us today. You probably don't know this, but right outside these doors right now is a massive snowstorm here in the city of Detroit. So we've all made it, we're ready to go. We have a bunch of talented young musicians ready to hit the stage in a moment, but we have a few special guests and a few things to talk to you about before we get to the music. It's been a busy week here at Orchestra Hall with the Sphinx organization. This is the third annual Sphinx Con. It's a 3-day conference that brings artists, educators, and administrators from around the country to explore ways to expand diversity in the arts. We're at the tail end of the Sphinx Competition. Today we are going to present to you the senior division finals. We have already had the junior division. We've chosen the winner and we will meet that person later on in the broadcast. We have plenty of other exciting things to do, but before we get into all that, my special guest right now is today's conductor, Mr. Andrew Grams. Maestro, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, welcome back to Detroit. How's your week been so far? Tell us about it.
Oh, it's been a wonderful handful of days listening to supremely talented young people that have such poise when they're standing in front of an orchestra or working with me and you know, getting up and around the fiddle or the viola or the cello or all these instruments. And
what are the ages like? What are some of the age? Give me the variety of ages here.
Well, the three junior finalists were like 14 and 15.
Wow.
And then I think, you know, the senior finalists are mostly 19, 20, something
Wow.
like this. But it's just been so much fun to watch them play, to interact with them, to meet, you know, all the people who come from all over to form the Sphinx Symphony Orchestra that I've been conducting just, you know, for the past couple days. And we've just, it's been such a great time. Mm-hmm. That in a certain way, the snowstorm that is preventing all of us from leaving is going to keep the party going, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, you know, you're no stranger to this world. You've seen talent from all age levels come and go, and you've met a lot of people. Are you still astounded at some of the, like when you see a 14-year-old playing with such poise and such maturity, like, does it still shock you and inspire maybe?
This particular session of the competition, which has been going on for 18 years now, at a certain point, after listening to contestant after contestant after contestant play and being amazed at their levels, I found myself leaning over and asking Aaron Dworkin, I said, you must have seen a trajectory of the talent, the level of these people just grow over the years. And he said, oh, absolutely, it's been astonishing to see just how the kids the level of artistic achievement is getting higher and higher as each year passes by.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the mission of the Sphinx organization, and I want to get your kind of thoughts on, you know, championing diversity in classical music. Yeah. Talk about the importance of that to you.
You know, for me, getting what we do to be more accessible to everyone is of paramount importance, because music is for everyone.
Yeah.
And you know, classical music in particular has this this stigma of it being elitist or somehow not for everyone, when it is really the exact opposite.
Right.
The music that we play expresses inclusion more often than not.
Yeah.
Or when the music has a certain amount of struggle, like in the Sibelius Violin Concerto, which you're going to hear today. You know, there's this great deal of struggle and whatnot, but that's the music expressing the lack of inclusion or the lack of connectivity between us as humans. And so getting everybody to come to something like this and to show very proudly that, you know, we as, you know, minority musicians, artists, what have you, that we are doing this and we are appreciating this, that everybody can appreciate that and take part in it.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and so the amazing thing to me is that Aaron and Afa have created an organization and a community really that has executed its mission of broadening classical music and making it more diverse. They've done such a phenomenal job with that it's astounding. And the proof is in the pudding, as you'll see when we get down onto the stage.
You know, another interesting element to this is the live broadcast that we're doing now, this webcast that's available globally. So talk about accessibility and spreading the good word of music, which truly, like you said before, is sort of a universal human experience.
It is for everybody.
So it is for everybody. Tell us real quick about the format of today's concert. How's it going to happen?
Well, we'll start off with the 3 senior finalists.
Okay. Which instruments will they be?
2 violins and a viola.
Okay.
The 2 violinists will wind up playing the same piece, the first movement of the Sibelius Violin Concerto.
Okay.
And then the violist is playing a wonderful, very dramatic in a sort of, operetta or operatic type way piece by Carl Maria von Weber called the Andante and Rondo Ungherese, or the Hungarian Rondo, which is very, very fun. And I was telling him to really ham it up for the audience. The audience should have a smile on its face the entire time we're playing it.
Yeah.
And then after that, we will have the junior winner play the first movement of the Mozart 5th Violin Concerto, and she plays this absolutely fantastically. And then after that, we have this featured piece with Galician bagpiper Christina Pato is going to come and play the world premiere of the third movement of this particular concerto that she had written for her by a wonderful, also Galician composer, Octavio Vasquez.
Okay, and Christina will be joining me up here to talk a little bit about what she does and her music later on, so I'm looking forward to that. What are some of the highlights coming up in your personal concert schedule after you leave Detroit?
Oh, well, let's see. What am I doing?
Can you remember? I know you're gotta be a busy guy.
I'm heading to Tucson for a few concerts. I have my orchestra in Elgin, Illinois.
Okay.
We have some concerts next month. I know I go back to Amsterdam in April. I know I'm coming back to Detroit next November to work with the Detroit Symphony.
Oh, great.
And you know what? I'm gonna have to log onto my own website to remember what I'm doing.
What is your website? Can people go visit it?
AndrewGrams.com.
Okay, cool. So we have a little bit of extra time, which is great for me and for our viewers and listeners right now. I wanted to kind of talk to you about your level of mentorship as you've been working with the musicians, especially the ones in the competition, the young musicians. Can you speak to a little bit about your mentorship?
Well,
what your level of mentorship is? What kind of things do you talk to them about?
Well, I wasn't part of the jury panel, so I didn't have any influence on the decision-making process of who was going to be selected to be a finalist and what have you, and I won't have any input in who wins. But my first and foremost job is to make sure that, the orchestra and I provide, of course, great accompaniment and interaction with each soloist. But the other part of my job is to make sure that each one feels comfortable. And
what do you do to make them feel comfortable?
Well, firstly, I make sure that the orchestra knows what they're doing and that they can communicate with the soloist directly, and that everybody is on the same page and understands what's going on. But then, so like in the rehearsal process, if there are some passages that are not working so well, I always find some way to get the soloist to, number one, not freak out. Yeah. Because it's just, something is just not clicking, but we can find a way to do it. And if maybe I have a small technical suggestion on how to make a particular passage click better with the orchestra, and I work with the orchestra, of course, to do that with the soloist. Okay. And but I am very, very astonished at how comfortable all of the soloists have seemed standing in front of the orchestra, even the ones who have never played a solo standing in front of an orchestra.
Wow. Well, we're looking forward to seeing that. Maestro Andrew Grams, thank you for joining me. Have a great performance today.
I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll be back with our concert master, Danielle Bellin, right after this. Stick around.
I'm Todd Mackover, and I'm working on a symphony for the city of Detroit, and I want you to work on it with me. We're going to make a symphony that shows what Detroit feels like, what it sounds like, and where it's going. You can record sounds, listen to the city, send me these sounds. We're going to trade ideas back and forth over the coming months, and we're going to make a big piece of music that's going to be played by the Detroit Symphony Orchestra in November 2015 called Symphony in D. You can go to the website dso.org/symphonyind, find out all the different ways you can participate, and I hope to meet as many of you as possible over the coming months. Please work with me to make this symphony to show the world what Detroit sounds like.
Okay, welcome back, and joining me right now is our concert master today, Danielle Bellens, a newly appointed associate professor at University of Michigan School of Music, Theater, and Dance. Hello, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So you newly appointed since when?
Since this year. This is my first full year teaching at the University of Michigan.
Okay.
I'm so excited to be here, and even more excited to be closer to my Sphinx family,
Yeah.
whom I've been a part of since 2008 when I won the competition.
Oh, that's right, you did win the competition.
But I was all the way in California. I was one of the only West Coast kids doing the competition, and so now I really feel close,
Yeah.
close-knit.
Tell us a little bit about, being a part of the Sphinx organization. What has it done to change your life?
It sounds so cliche to say that one thing can change your life, but in the case of Sphinx, it's like the home run of all competitions. I mean,
Right.
immediately I was soloing with orchestras that I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with had it not been for Sphinx. And I learned throughout the process how much I loved the violin. It was late in life that I learned how much I loved the violin. And also that I wanted to share my gifts with younger students. And my passion for teaching has only been increased and supported from the Sphinx organization. They have, in fact, provided scholarships for my summer camp and festival that I have in California called Center Stage Strings.
Wow.
And leading all the way up to today, when I'm now a professor at the University of Michigan, they are right there by my side, supporting me every step of the way, and they have been for the last 7 years since 2008. So I couldn't say more honestly and wholeheartedly that nothing has changed my life the way that the Sphinx organization has, and so completely and honestly.
Yeah. What kind of ways do you pass on your experience to younger students who come up and who look to you for mentorship and look to you for advice?
Yeah, well, you have to be honest with them because they're in for a difficult career. It's one of the most difficult that you could possibly choose to be a violinist of any sort, a soloist, a chamber musician, an orchestral player.
What's the most encouraging thing
It
you
all takes a lot of work, but
Yeah, how do you keep them encouraged?
But how do you keep them encouraged? You give them opportunities to perform. And I think that's something that Sphinx is so amazing about doing. Their emphasis is on performance and providing these opportunities for young students. And I see that as the greatest motivator, really, because what are we doing this for if not to share our gifts with an audience? So I think students are motivated to work hard because in return, they get to perform.
Yeah. So is there a place, where can people get more information about Center Stage Strings if they wanted to?
Oh, well, thank you. Our website is centerstagestrings.com, and it is a 3-week-long festival in Central California near the beautiful Sequoia National Park. And we have had many Sphinx artists come through Center Stage Strings, and I hope to continue this relationship in the future. And now that I'm so close by at the University of Michigan, I get to see Aaron and Afa on a pretty regular basis because we both live in Ann Arbor.
Right.
My husband moved with me to Ann Arbor, so it truly is a family organization, and I'm so honored to be here today. I'm rooting for all these performers. They are awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great show. And I hope to be involved with Sphinx for many, many years to come.
Well, it's great to meet you. We look forward to the performance. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us,
Thank
Danielle
you so
Bellens.
much.
All right. Folks, live from Orchestra Hall is presented by the Ford Motor Company Fund and made possible by the generous support of the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, and is produced in collaboration with Detroit Public Television. These webcasts are made possible by you. Your support goes a long way to keep the DSO strong with all the things they do on stage, in the communities and on things like Live from Orchestra Hall. So you can make a small gift right now of $25, $50, or $100 at dso.org/donate. And thank you. Join the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag DSOLive. Follow us on Twitter at Detroit Symphony and post all your comments on our Facebook page. I hope you enjoyed the performance today. We are going to meet the Sphinx Junior Division winner, 14-year-old Hannah White, plus the amazing Galician bagpiper Christina Pato. We'll hear her and we'll meet her up here on this set right now and talk to her. So enjoy the concert and we'll see you at intermission. Thanks.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 18th Annual Sphinx Competition Finals Concert presented by DTE Energy Foundation. At this time, we request that you silence all cellular phones and refrain from any photographs or excessive noise. In addition, we ask that with your applause, you invite each laureate back on stage only once for additional recognition. Please note that this afternoon, our audience will have the opportunity to vote for the Audience Choice Award winner. You may choose from the 3 competing senior laureates only. Please stay tuned for the mobile phone texting instructions, which will appear on the screen directly after the 3rd laureate's performance. Thank you very much for your consideration. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, Jane Chu.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, and it's so great to be here in Detroit. I want to thank the Detroit Symphony Orchestra for hosting the 18th Annual Sphinx Competition. What a fine competition to recognize the excellence of young Black and Latino string players in America. Thanks also to the Sphinx Symphony Orchestra and Maestro Andrew Grams, who will be conducting today. The reputation of the Sphinx programs they're nationally recognized, and I'm looking forward to hearing you perform today. Detroit has a very long and rich relationship with music. From Motown, bebop, big band jazz, to gospel and classical, it is so wonderful to see this tradition carried forward today by some of the nation's most talented youth. Everybody here competing has made serious contributions in bringing beauty to our world and giving us moments of meaning through music. That's what the arts are all about. And I want to commend all of the young women and men who competed. You have dedicated so much energy and passion to this pursuit, and you are the next generation of artists and creative leaders. You are the future of the arts in America. You are inspiring to all of us. Thanks so much, and enjoy the performance.
Please welcome to the stage Maestro Andrew Grams and our first laureate, 19-year-old Annelle Gregory from Los Angeles, California. Please welcome Maestro Andrew Grams and our second laureate, 23-year-old Michael Christopher Casimir from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Please welcome Maestro Andrew Grams and our third laureate, 19-year-old Eduardo Rios from Lima, Peru. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention toward the screen on stage. Audience choice voting is now open.
All right, welcome back to this very special edition of Live from Orchestra Hall. My name is Alex Trajano, and we are backstage at the beautiful Orchestra Hall in downtown Detroit, where there is a blizzard going on outside. Anyways, I know you've been enjoying the music and impressed with all this great talent. And joining me backstage right now, speaking of talent, is 14-year-old Hannah White, winner of Friday's junior division of the 2015 Sphinx Competition. Congratulations, Hannah.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the piece that you performed on Friday and why you chose that piece.
I didn't choose Mozart. Sphinx
Okay.
chose it.
Okay.
So I like the piece. It's very hard, difficult. It doesn't sound hard, but it is technically, and it's very opera.
So how much preparation did you put into it? How much time did you have to prepare for the competition?
So we had to send in a recording, and I had to learn Mozart and Bach. So we did that around November.
Okay.
And so then I took a break afterwards, and I kind of laxed off of it, started working on other pieces, and I kind of got back on like a month before.
Well, kind of like how many hours a day would you say you spent to prepare for the piece?
For Mozart?
Yeah, for the piece that you performed and you won.
About an hour a day.
An hour a day, yeah. And where does that take up a lot of time, do you think, in your like normal studies at school, or like were you able to work that in with all your probably busy schedule with friends and with academic work and stuff?
I'm homeschooled, so it wasn't that much of a problem.
Okay. Is there a better time of day for you to practice? Do you like to practice in the morning or afternoon, or like when's the best time for you to practice?
I start around 4 or 5, and I continue from there.
Oh, you do? Okay. So, you know, you probably had a lot of opportunity, even at 14 years old, to perform in many different situations. And so tell us about what are some of your favorite performances that you can think of that you've had?
That I enjoyed?
Yeah, that you enjoyed. Like if someone said, what are some of your favorites? What pops to mind?
Probably most of the later ones. Not when I was around 10 and under. Those weren't.
Yeah. When did you start?
I started when I was 7.
You started when you were 7 years old. Wow, that's such a long time ago. It seems. But so how about your friends? Like how many friends do you have that sort of understand what you're doing? Do you have other friends in the classical music world, or how is that for you?
I have a lot of violin friends. Some in Milwaukee and a few in Chicago. Yeah, they seem to understand.
yeah, I bet. And you know, I know you are just 14 years old. You still have high school to finish and go through. But what are some of your dreams for the future? What are your plans?
I would like to be a soloist or a chamber player in a quartet.
Wow. And I always like to ask this question of the young, really talented performers: what kind of music do you listen to other than classical music? Like when you're not listening to classical, what are some of your favorite things you like to listen to?
Christian music, I guess.
Any particular artist pop to mind?
No.
No, just that. Okay, well that's cool. Well, hey, you know, I'm going to let you go so you can warm up. I know you're going to perform pretty soon. And congratulations and best of luck in everything you do in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, Hannah White, winner of the junior division here at the Sphinx Competition. We're going to be right back with Galician bagpiper Christina Pato, and we're also going to talk about how you can vote at home in the Sphinx Competition. So we'll be right back. Stick around. Okay, and we're back here, and joining me now is the incredible Christina Pato, Galician bagpiper, pianist, and composer. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
I know you'll be performing later on. Will you tell us a little bit about your instruments, the bagpipes? It's not very familiar, or might not be very familiar to some people. Can you explain it to everybody?
Yeah, so if we think about the bagpipes, probably the first country that comes to your mind is Scotland.
Yeah.
But we have to think that the bagpipe is an instrument that it was in a shepherd tradition. So wherever there was a shepherd in the world, there was probably a bagpipe or a kind of bagpipes. Mine comes from Galicia, which is in the northwest corner of Spain, and that is exactly where I am coming from, and that is the instrument that I am using outside of the original context, which is the context of traditional music. For me to put that instrument in an orchestra hall is a very unique way of addressing the different levels of the society that have been always like a little wall in between classical music and traditional music.
Is there much of a difference in your instrument than what you would, like most people would think of the Scottish bagpipes? Are they any different? The ones you playing?
There are
How
plenty.
Are they
the wonderful thing about the bagpipes in general is they really tell the story of the place they are coming from.
Okay.
In the case of the Scottish one, for example, it became a military instrument, and you can feel and see that in the way they play. In the case of Galician bagpipe, which is called gaita, it's an instrument that remained as an instrument for the people. It's an instrument of community that brings people together, that is used for parties, for dancing, for things like that, and that is the main difference. And then the key and all the technicalities that go in the scales that are used in every different region of the world.
Wow, that's so interesting. And so is your career. It's very multifaceted. Can you tell us a little bit about your musical journey? I mean, you do so many different things.
Well, I think if you want to survive in the 21st century doing what you really love, you really need to speak many different languages. And in the case of music, because of the instrument, because of the origin of this instrument, when I started music, when I started with bagpipes, bagpipes were not in the official conservatory in Galicia.
Okay.
So my mother decided that having a career in classical music will make music be something important in our lives. So I was always in between the two worlds. As a bagpiper in the Royal Bagpipe Band of Galicia, and as a pianist, I was following the typical classical music path. When I moved to the US, I actually saw some sort of connection between the two, and it was because of the most amazing mentor you can imagine in your life, which is Yo-Yo Ma and the Silk Road Ensemble.
Yeah.
With them, I actually saw the value in being able to not only to speak many different musical languages, but also to prove or to bring the conversation without even having to talk about it, to bring the conversation. Like, for example, what we are doing here today with everything that the Sphinx is putting on the table just through music. That is more or less what I am trying to do with my instrument in this context.
Wow. So, okay, well, I want to talk about Yo-Yo Ma and the Silk Road with you for a minute, but I also want to talk about your involvement with the Sphinx and the piece that you're going to be playing today. Can you give us a little background on the piece and a little preview maybe of the piece you're going to perform today?
Of course. So the piece that we're going to be performing today is a world premiere. It's the world premiere of one movement, of one concerto. And following this whole conversation, a couple of years ago, I started with the idea of commissioning composers to write pieces for gaita and orchestra. This is the second concerto of that round of commissions that I commissioned myself with the help of New Music USA. And my goal was to try to place the instrument in that context. When I was invited to be part of the Sphinx conference, talking with Afa and Aaron Dorking, they came in with the idea of bringing also a piece for bagpipe and orchestra. This piece was written by a Galician composer, Octavio Vázquez, who is in the house. The whole concerto is called The Widows of the Living and of the Dead, which is a line of a 19th century Galician poet. And the third movement, which is what we are going to be playing, is called Elas, which in Galician language means they, but with a feminine, like they, the women, because Galician society from the 19th century up until even today, has been always a society that has been, women have been the most important way of maintaining the society.
Oh, wow. What an interesting story to that piece. I can't wait to hear it.
me neither, actually, and I am playing it.
Tell us about, okay, so you are a member of the Silk Road Ensemble working with Yo-Yo Ma, a legend. Tell people what that must be like. I mean, so few people will ever get that opportunity. Tell us about working with him, and tell us about like the things that you've learned, the things you take away from your experience with him and that group.
I think the most amazing thing about Yo-Yo Ma is his generosity, his sense of collaboration, of community, and the way he understands how culture matters in today's world, how much we can do as musicians, and how much being an artist or a performing artist is just the tip of the iceberg of something that has to be supported by education, by cultural diplomacy, but many different layers that is not only performing. Yo-Yo leads by example. Yo-Yo Ma is the most energizing person you can even meet, incredibly generous, and to me is a person that has changed my way of understanding what is exactly that we can bring to today's society with the gift that we keep nurturing every day.
Wow, you know what's really cool about that comment you just made is that you know, you spoke more of things bigger than music. You spoke about society and human beings more than you spoke about, you know, he makes me want to practice my instrument more, which I think is really telling about his influence just as a human being.
I remember one of the first conversations I had with him, speaking of having a career as a classical pianist or having a career as a bagpiper. And I was explaining to him that, well, it's difficult, it's a challenge, nobody needs a bagpiper, no, there are no bagpipe positions in this country, so I don't know what to do. And he answered me, you have the most beautiful challenge in the world, you can create your path, and that will be your passion. And at the end, we can all do that, just sometimes you just get stuck in the black holes that appear in the middle, but there is so much light when those challenges come, and this is the result of one of those moments with Yo-Yo.
Wow. Okay, real quick, we just got a couple seconds here left. What's coming up next on your performance concert calendar? Where are you headed after this?
Well, if I can make it out of the storm.
I don't think you're going to make it out today, I'm sorry to say, Christina. We get to have you a little bit longer in Detroit.
One of the beautiful positions that I am holding right now is the visiting artist in residence at the College of the Holy Cross in Worcester, Massachusetts. Wow. And with them, I'm developing a new piece that is putting together 5 different departments of the school, non-arts related, and that is also, again, Yo-Yo's vision. And that will be happening in a couple of days. Then I go to Spain because I'm releasing a new album. And then in February, Yo-Yo Ma, Silk Road, big tour in the US, starting with New York Philharmonic at the end of February.
Oh, sounds great. Well, it's great to meet you. Have a wonderful performance, and thank you for spending a little time with us here.
Thank you very much
Okay.
for doing this. Thank you.
Christina Pato will take the stage with the orchestra in a few moments. Let me just remind you folks that Live from Orchestra Hall is presented by the Ford Motor Company Fund and made possible by the generous support of the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, and is produced in collaboration with Detroit Public Television. Audience choice, okay, I'm not sure if the texting thing is still happening, but our worldwide viewers can vote via text for your favorite performers. Watch the screen, maybe you did already, I'm not sure if the voting is still open, but check that out. Also, 3 free webcasts. These free webcasts from Detroit Symphony are supported by people like you. This is a community orchestra, your orchestra, and your support goes a long way to support all the things that we do here on stage, in the communities, and on things like Live from Orchestra Hall. Make your generous gift now of $25, $50, or $100 at dso.org/donate, and thank you. Don't forget to join us on Twitter using the hashtag DSOLive and post all your comments on our Facebook page.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Greg Ruvolo, Manager of Community Relations and Online Communications at Mercedes-Benz Financial Services, to present the Audience Choice Award winner.
Good afternoon. I'm so glad to be here with you this afternoon for the Sphinx Competition Finals. This is my first time attending the competition, and it would be an understatement to say that I am deeply impressed. The work we do at Mercedes-Benz Financial Services is based on the idea that every experience matters, and we pride ourselves on our attention to detail. I can't think of a finer example of paying attention to detail than what we have seen here today. Mercedes-Benz Financial Services is proud to sponsor the Sphinx Competition Audience Choice Award for the 4th consecutive year, and it is now my honor to share with you the difficult decision that you, the audience, just made. The winner of the Audience Choice Award of $1,500 in the 18th Annual Sphinx Competition Senior Division is Eduardo Rios.
Please welcome to the stage this year's Junior Division First Place Laureate, 14-year-old Hannah White from Germantown, Wisconsin.
I started playing the violin when I was 3 years old. I love everything about playing the violin in front of an audience, from creating a memorable experience to the thrill and spontaneity of finding something new in the composer's story. I love it all. Thanks to the Sphinx organization, I can pursue my passion. My name is Mira Williams, and I am a proud member of the Sphinx family, and a past winner of the junior division of the Sphinx Competition. I'm very fortunate to have never known a world without the Sphinx organization, a world where Sphinx is transforming lives through the power of diversity in the arts. Since its creation in 1997, Sphinx has created amazing opportunities for young musicians and has changed the way the world looks at musicians of color. Sphinx has helped classical music better reflect the diverse world we live in.
The ability to express oneself, to share one's culture and identity with others is paramount to a civil society. And so we train that ability in young people. If this incredible art form doesn't reflect the full mosaic of who we are as a nation, then not only are those communities diminished, but our entire society is.
Changing attitudes about diversity in the arts all starts with education and access.
The Sphinx Overture program is a year-round, full scholarship educational initiative that places violins in the hands of young people in elementary schools for the first time. It makes them more well-rounded citizens, it improves their self-discipline, self-esteem, and it does wonders in terms of their academic achievement.
For young minority musicians ages 12 to 17, we have the Sphinx Performance Academy. Held in 2 locations, the students have the opportunity to learn through master classes, guest artist lectures. We also have improvisational classes.
I think the Sphinx organization is so incredibly important. It tries to achieve in our society an equilibrium of people who are incredibly talented and motivated to be part of every aspect of our society.
The Sphinx Competition is our national competition for young Black and Latino musicians and provides them not only with a competitive format that really helps them to shape and mold their skill sets and talents, but also a platform from which they can get into the top music schools in the country and build their professional careers.
Beyond the competition, the Sphinx organization does so much to support artist development. The Sphinx Music Assistant Fund provides a comprehensive program to help Sphinx alumni access educational, career, and professional development opportunities, helping alumni with everything from instruments to scholarship opportunities. But for Sphinx laureates who have spent years committed to music and practice, the performance is the fun part.
The Sphinx Virtuosi is comprised of top alumni and laureates of the Sphinx Competition who come together to perform diverse repertoire and engage in extensive community outreach across the country. To affect diversity in chamber music, Sphinx has launched the Catalyst Quartet, our lead ensemble whose mission it is to build new and diverse audiences. The Sphinx Symphony Orchestra was created in order to perform during the national competition, and they serve as mentors and role models to the young artists who come to compete in the competition every year.
Sphinx has created incredible opportunities for us to perform, to solo, to teach, and to inspire, not just in America, but around the world.
Music is an international universal language, and I think there has been for a long time an idea that certain music is the preserve of only certain people. And music is music in all its forms and in all its glory.
The cornerstone of Sphinx Global Scholars is that our alumni have the opportunity to perform, to learn about other cultures, and also to teach young people in other countries.
With the aim of broadening the discussion about the importance of diversity in the arts, Sphinx created SphinxCon. It brings together leaders in the arts from around the world to share ideas, challenges, and successes to help the arts better reflect our communities.
Part of our role in arts leadership is to recognize the leading young musicians of color across the country. As a result, we have implemented the Sphinx Medals of Excellence, which we award to the leading 3 musicians of color, each of whom receive a $50,000 artist award to continue the development of their careers.
Sphinx may have started as a grassroots effort to bring more minorities into classical music, but it has graduated into a powerful and important voice in the arts. From the White House, where Sphinx president and founder Aaron Dworkin sits on the National Council of the Arts, to television and media around the world, Sphinx continues to change the face of classical music and is contributing to a world where the arts can make a difference in creating a more just and inclusive society.
Every day, we truly are transforming the lives of people through the power of diversity in the arts. But despite those successes, there is tremendous work that we still have to do.
By supporting Sphinx and its mission, we all can help open doors for young people in underserved communities and ultimately build a more powerful, creative, and successful society.
I'm just in awe of what Sphinx has accomplished, but even more excited about its future.
I am Sphinx.
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 Ladies and gentlemen, the founder and president of the Sphinx organization, Aaron Dworkin.
The life of the arts, far from being an interruption, a distraction in the life of the nation, is very close to the center of a nation's purpose and is a test of the quality of a nation's civilization. The words of President John F. Kennedy echo in my mind as we work every day at Sphinx to ensure that the arts reflect the rich mosaic that comprises the diverse tapestry of the American people. Thank you all for joining us for the 18th Annual Sphinx Competition Finals Concert, which has been made possible by the DTE Energy Foundation. As you can see from the cameras around the hall, we are currently streaming this concert live around the world and will be able to share what you are experiencing this afternoon with tens of thousands through the broadcast on Detroit Public Television made possible by DTE Energy Foundation, and I want to thank them for their commitment to our mission. I also want to thank the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, including their wonderful and committed leader, Ann Parsons, not only for sharing their world-class venue with us, but also for their long-standing commitment to diversity through their African American Fellowship Program, as well as their Classical Roots series, which will take place on March 7th, and I encourage all of you to join Sphinx in supporting this important initiative. As you know, Chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, Jane Chu, is here with us today, and I want to thank her for her leadership and commitment to the arts. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming. And now, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the semifinalists and junior division laureates of this year's Sphinx competition. These young, talented musicians were selected from numerous auditions around the country, and their incredible level of achievement in reaching this phase of the competition must be recognized. Will you please stand and be recognized? I also want to thank our screening committee and our finals jurors who preside over the semifinal rounds of the competition and this afternoon's concert. Our finals jury, whose bios you can review in our program, are seated in the balcony and include Chichi Nwanoko, principal double bassist of the Orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment and professor of double bass at the Royal Academy of Music in London, Jeff Ziegler, recording artist and former cellist of the Kronos Quartet, John Madison, principal violist of the Michigan Opera Theater Orchestra and active performing and teaching artist, Carlos Rodriguez, founding member of the Catalyst Quartet and Dean of Artistic Affairs at the Sphinx Performance Academy, Matthew Van Biesen, president of the New York Philharmonic, Philippe Quint, internationally renowned solo violinist, and Stephen Ships, professor of music at the University of Michigan's School of Music, Theater, and Dance. Thank you all for what was a very difficult decision. Thank you. There are so many leaders reflecting the various cultures and arts disciplines that inform our work at Sphinx, who I could reflect upon during my remarks here today. However, as we move forward from this past month when we celebrated a man's legacy, not only through a national holiday, but also a remarkable film depicting his life, I wanted to mention Martin Luther King Jr., who grew up with a piano in the living room. Coretta Scott King graduated from Antioch with a degree in music education and the New England Conservatory of Music with degrees in voice and violin, which is where she actually met Martin. And so many people are not aware of the profound role classical music played throughout their lives. Dr. King gave a speech in 1964 in Berlin where he shared, quote, "Long before the modern essayists and scholars wrote of racial identity as a problem for a multiracial world, musicians were returning to their roots to affirm that which was stirring within their souls. Much of the power of our freedom movement in the United States has come from this music. It has strengthened us with its sweet rhythms when courage began to fail. It has calmed us with its rich harmonies when spirits were down." One of my fondest memories at Sphinx is when I was in Atlanta in 2003 for a conference on Black philanthropy, and Coretta Scott King was speaking. The Sphinx artist you see here, Patrice Jackson, had the opportunity to perform before Mrs. King on stage. And the tears that I saw in her eyes and the words Mrs. King spoke to me after her performance will stay with me forever and inform the words of her husband, which resonate so well with the nurtured talents you have experienced here today. Quote, "Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. And history will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." And I submit to each and every one of you, this work that we do surrounding the role of the arts within the fabric of our society matters. I would now like to ask our laureates and representatives of Sphinx's major partners to come to the stage for the presentation of our finals jury's decision. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the winners of the 18th Annual Sphinx Competition. Here to present our third place award is Sean Wilson, Sphinx board member and Director of Client and Community Relations for the PNC Financial Services Group.
Good afternoon. It is a real pleasure to be with you here today representing PNC. We feel strongly that the arts enrich lives and build stronger, more vibrant communities, which is why we partner so extensively with arts organizations here in Detroit and across the country. Whether it is the phenomenal musicianship being developed through this competition or the educational opportunities being provided to young students in the city of Detroit, PNC is proud to support the transformative work being done by the Sphinx organization. And so it is my pleasure to present the third place award. The winner of the third place award of $10,000 in the 18th Annual Sphinx Competition Senior Division is Annelle Gregory.
It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our final award presenter. The DTE Energy Foundation has generously supported the Sphinx organization's efforts to enrich the lives of young people in our community for over a decade. As the lead presenter of the entire Sphinx competition, the DTE Energy Foundation has clearly demonstrated its commitment to education and diversity, and I am honored to introduce to you Sandy Ennis, DTE Energy's Vice President of Corporate Communications and Chief Diversity Officer, here to present the first and second place awards of the competition.
Good afternoon. I'm actually thrilled to be here with you today, and the DTE Energy Foundation is so very proud to present the 18th competition. We know that many things are critical to enhance the quality of life here in our communities, and we're very lucky to have such wonderful assets in our region. The breadth and the excellence of the arts in our region are the envy of cities around the world. And the arts are a vital component. They empower youth, they inspire our intellect, they challenge our assumptions, and they help us overcome boundaries. The Sphinx organization does this too, and they do it through work that's done nationally, locally, and regionally. We at the DTE Energy Foundation are proud to support the brilliant results that we all saw today. And we thank each of you for being a part of this celebration. And now it's my honor to present first the Senior Division second place winner. And the winner of the second place award of $20,000 in the 18th Annual Sphinx Competition Senior Division is Michael Casimir. And finally, the winner of the first place award of $50,000 in the 18th Annual Sphinx Competition Senior Division is Eduardo Rios.
Thank you again to our laureates and to our award presenters. Thank you again. There are so many words that I could say, but all I will just do is say the Sphinx Symphony Orchestra under unbelievable direction of Maestro Andy Grams. Can we just recognize them again? So many of us in life start out building temples, temples of character, temples of justice, temples of peace. And so often we don't finish them. Because life is like Schubert's unfinished symphony. At so many points we start, we try, we set out to build our various temples. And I guess one of the great agonies of life is that we are constantly trying to finish that which is unfinishable. These were the words of Dr. Martin Luther King in 1959. I view this work that we do at Sphinx similarly, but I am comforted by an ongoing commitment and talent and dedication that is brought forth by our artists, our faculty, our staff, our board, you, our audiences, and bringing to bear a understanding and a commitment and a belief that one day this mission that we are all on together will be finished. And you are about to hear from one of the very people who embody everything that we strive to achieve in a truly international fashion. The concept of a pioneer, a citizen artist, and consummate collaborator merely begin to define the woman I now introduce to you. She encompasses extraordinary versatility with that rare degree of excellence in all of her endeavors. She is a member of Yo-Yo Ma's Silk Road Ensemble, the first female Galician bagpiper to record a solo album, and founder and artistic director of Galician Connection, a forum and multidisciplinary festival in world music. She has given more than 500 concerts in the US, Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Germany, Mexico, China, Korea, Angola, the Arab Emirates, and India. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in offering a Detroit welcome to our featured guest artist, a piano and gaita virtuoso, Christina Pato, joined by the Sphinx Symphony under the direction of Andy Grams.
Thank you.